And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thomson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, hello, everyone. It is time again for the Weighing In podcast where myself and my man, the Punk, Josh Thompson, are ready. He is sick, so give him a little bit of love. Give him a little bit of prayer towards his upcoming health renewal.
So bad.
He's been coughing up more crap. It's nasty.
It is.
But he is a man of his word, said he would be here, and he's here. And it's time to talk about all the fights that are going to happen. We got fights on Thursday night with the PFL. We have fights on Saturday night with the UFC. We got so much stuff going on. It's all good.
Man,
how you feeling, my man? Terrible?
I actually feel better. It's just this,
good.
All of this stuff going on in the face and into the chest.
Pressure.
Yeah. So they're basically saying that there's like a new version of RSV going around, but for adults. Yeah. And I guess that's kind of what I got. That's what happens when you have two young kids. You know,
I refuse.
You refuse?
I refuse.
Wait till your grandson starts going to daycare.
Wait till I'm old.
Once your kid starts going to school, you know this, John, with all the kids you have. Like, come on, man. Once they go to school, they're bringing everything home. This is fucking walking petri dishes.
We're fucking from now on. It's all homeschooling, mister.
Oh, is
it
really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Hell yes.
You know, it's funny. I've got a lot of people that even though the schools here in Texas don't push a lot of stuff. I'll leave it at that.
Crap.
There's still a lot of people here that homeschool their kids. I'm surprised here in Texas.
Well, you know, there's this whole thing that's, you know, and I've actually done quite a bit of research into it and studying, and there's this whole thing on, you know, kids when it comes to when they're best as far as how long, you know, studying and all the different things and their interest patterns and everything. Schools now they're more of a daycare, you know, and they're not teaching them. Not only are they not teaching them the things that I think are important for them to be successful, but they're pushing off things and not understanding the basic way that kids, you know, their attention span, and they got to play. Kids got to move, you know, and I can go back to, you know, I don't know how you were. I was a menace. I admit it. You know, the whole ADD thing, I was always moving, always wanting to get out. I look at it, there's all kinds of things to be learned in this world. But as a young kid, the basics of, you know, reading, writing, and arithmetic, you know, that's what's important. And it seems like they're not really doing that the same way, you know, that they used to. And I think it's important for kids to be outside. I think it's important for them to learn how to handle, you know, animals and tools and all kinds of things. And so we've talked about it. I think my grandson's going to be homeschooled.
I think it's good. You can find a couple different types of curriculum that you can buy online.
Yep.
And they can actually be in school. They can do an online course class, you know, where they meet up with other kids for, you know, an hour or 45 minutes. And then they can also do stuff where you teach them the basics of math and they give you the curriculum to do it. I know that I was thinking about doing it for my son for a little bit, because I mean, during the day, I pretty much don't have a whole lot going on during the day that I can focus on that if I needed to. It's pretty much in the later afternoon is where everything starts to get real busy, because we are here in Texas, and most of the things that I would be doing in the earlier morning, they're still sleeping. So most of those people in the West Coast. So there's a lot of things that can get done. I think of it as you said, like it's almost like a daycare now, which is kind of, it's true. Is you realize when the homeschool kids, they're done with school normally by like 12:30, 1 o'clock. So your kids are at school for another 2.5 hours normally.
Yep.
Doing what? And they get their playtime and they socialize. But I remember when we were kids, John, when we looked at kids that were homeschooled when they were kids, when they were our age, what did we say? Oh, those are the dumb kids. Those are the
dumb kids.
Yeah, those are the weird kids, the strange families. It's changed quite a bit since then. Also, too,
really
new studies have shown that the newer generation, I don't know if it's really that, if it means it's newer, but I'm simply saying that kids now that are more homeschooled, they actually, the knock on them back then was that they didn't know how to socialize with other people. They weren't like emotionally developed because they only had their family to really be around. That's not true. All the new studies have shown that these kids are actually more developed socially because they are spending half their day out in public socializing, whether it's at the grocery store, whether it's at the parks, whether it's because they're out there making friends, whether they're not in school making friends, but they're out there making friends, whether it's at the public park with their family or whether it's at the grocery store or whether it's at the bank, they're out there experiencing life, not just sitting at a desk in a classroom. Look, I'm not going to sit here and push,
first off, it also takes, a situation where you have someone that can actually be at home and teach them and all that stuff. I couldn't have done it when I was younger, couldn't have done it, but I can do it now.
Yeah. I'm not a kid that I think could have been homeschooled. There's just no way. There's just no way.
No, absolutely. I think that you could have been. It's just a matter because it's a lot of it. Look at all the extracurricular things that you did as a kid outside of the actual school facility, school district stuff, the little leagues or the, Pee-wee footballs, junior All-Americans, the wrestling, I was doing all of that. So I had plenty of friends. Yeah. And I had plenty of friends at school, but I mean, it wasn't like I was lacking in, the ability to communicate with kids my age that had the same interest and things like that. And it was a matter of, as long as I was interested in something, I was good. It's when you bored me, I was in trouble.
Yeah. Here's the other thing. It's like, I wanted to give you guys an example is the Ruotola brothers were homeschooled. I believe they went to high school, but up until high school, I think they were home. I know they were homeschooled up until high school. They maybe it went back a little bit earlier. Maybe they went into high school, freshman, sophomore year into school, but they were homeschooled for the majority of their youth. They did their morning surf. They came home, did their school. Then they went to jiu-jitsu at Ruka and they trained there. And then they came back and did a little bit more school.
What a horrible life.
Those kids now at 18, 19 years old, guess what? Yeah. They own their own gym in Costa Rica. They also are now fighting. They just had one of them just had their first fight this last weekend in MMA. Got a great victory. These kids are some of the most well-mannered, most respectful kids I've ever been around. At 10 years old, when I met them at the Ruka Training Center in Costa Mesa, man, they lit up the room when they walked in. They were so friendly, so nice. I thought they were going to walk in with an ego. Like even at 10 years old, like, because Ruka, they're walking through the warehouse, just throwing things off the shelf into their bag. Like, yeah, I'm taking this, I'm taking that, I'm taking this. I thought they'd have like these big egos, even at 10 years old. No, these kids were so nice. Oh man, you're so great. I seen you. They were just the nicest kids, so respectful. And it kind of at that moment when I found out they were homeschooled, I was like, there might be something behind this. These kids now have their own, their own jiu-jitsu gym. They're achieving all the goals that they wanted. They were focused and driven on what they wanted to do. Their parents did whatever they could to make sure that they, were educated, that they learned a life skill in jiu-jitsu. They learned a life skill in surfing. They are amazing young men. Amazing. I can't say enough about them.
And that's the whole point. Look, it's not for everyone, but I do think, it's just everything comes down to money now. And it's, you got to have your kid in school so the school district can get so much money per day that your kid's there and stuff. They don't care about actually doing what they're there for. How is it that you don't teach your kids how to handle money?
They didn't teach me that though. They didn't teach us that though either in school, which drove me nuts.
Tell me about it, and I learned the hard way because of it.
That's true.
They should have.
It shocks me that they don't teach you how to balance a checkbook.
It's crazy.
And how are you once you know that kids can get a job at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, why are you not teaching them how to open a bank account, how to balance a checkbook, how to write a check? The first time I got a checkbook, I was, I think 16, 17. I was like, what do I need this for? And then like my grandmother had to show me how to write a check. It's like, yeah, this is how I'm like, wait, so everywhere I go, I have to write a check? Because I grew up watching my mother and my dad and they'd always write checks. And I'm like, wait, I got to write this thing out every single time. And
you notice that no one writes a check anymore?
No, it's all credit cards now. I remember back then they were afraid to use like debit cards. My parents were.
Oh yeah.
They didn't want to use credit cards and debit cards and stuff. But But I was shocked that I never learned. When I got to college, I was like, man, I never learned any of this. Balancing a checkbook, depositing, withdrawals, how to do any of this at a bank. Never. So, I don't know. I got to be honest, man. I'm getting my son
Life
learning
skills,
Monopoly real soon here.
Life skills. It's all important.
All right, guys. Hey, we broke off, obviously, for a second there.
We did.
But hey, before we get started, make sure you guys go to BetUS. Check out the descriptions down below.
Michael Vick here at BetUS.com. Get it all. Huge bonuses, great odds, a race book, live in-game betting, and a casino. BetUS, my online sports book and casino.
They bring you the best betting odds, of course, across the board. So check them out. I want to thank them so much for continuing to sponsor this podcast here.
Yes, sir.
This show, they're going to sponsor this show. Thank you guys so much. But also, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the UFC. But John,
we're going to go in the UFC or we're going to go PFL, which is Thursday?
Actually, let's go PFL first, which is on Thursday, and then we'll go UFC right after. Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
Do you have the PFL in front of you?
I do.
Okay.
I just popped it up, and that's why I said, are we
Yeah.
know that? Because I just popped it up instead of the UFCs. All right, we've got the main event of the evening is a trilogy rematch. Valentin Moldavsky taking on Linton Vassell. Now, this is in the PFL's global season, and so there is points associated with everything. You got to look at Moldavsky is coming off of a first-round knockout over Antalia, and then Linton Vassell's coming off of a loss to Goltsov. So 6 points to 0 points. I hate the point thing, but it is the way they do it. But the rematch is a trilogy rematch. Moldavsky won the first one. Linton Vassell said he came in too heavy. That was his first time at heavyweight. Got tired. But I saw Linton Vassell get tired against Goltsov, and that's how he lost the fight. Moldavsky looked fantastic against Talia. Just ate him alive. Went in there and just busted him up. But in the second match, Linton Vassell knocked out Moldavsky once it got to the ground. Ground and pound was vicious, and we know that he can do that. And he knocked him out. So how are you seeing this match?
Look, I'm a big Linton Vassell fan, but I also feel like Linton Vassell is someone that is so up and down. I can't tell you how he's going to perform.
Yeah, that's true.
He had a great performance against Moldavsky. Then he came out and he was supposed to fight for the title in Bellator. Didn't end up getting sick, I believe, the 2 weeks before the fight. Decided not to take the fight. Backed out of the fight against Ryan Bader. And then shows up to the PFL and just looked exhausted after round one.
Boy.
And so I can't tell you which one's going to show up. He's built like a Greek god. You would think that every time he steps inside that cage, he would have great cardio. He's physically strong. Look, his weight cut from before, I would say, was a big hindrance to him because it was affecting his game. But now that he's at a heavyweight, there's no excuses anymore. You have nowhere else to go. There's no super heavyweight. Okay? There's nothing's going to give you more energy now. You're fighting at your walk around weight. That's where you should be. That's what you should be fighting at. And you've had a great performance at that weight class. Let's try to keep the ball rolling, which, got knocked off last fight. But look, let's get back on track. Do I think he's going to finish Moldavsky? I don't think so. It's going to be a different fight. I would look for Moldavsky to probably keep this thing on the feet and look to land some big striking with some fast hands, get in and get out before Linton Vassell can touch him. I think he's going to be able to strike with him, cut an angle, circle out the side, and stay away from the clinch, stay away from the wrestling, stay away from all that. He may threaten a takedown here and there, but I think that he's got to get in and get out.
Yeah, I think Moldavsky's team is smart enough to realize where the mistakes were made in the second match. They went back to basically what he did in the first match, which he did use the ground a lot, and he took Linton down, and he was able to, be in the top position. But I think this match, until they get Linton a little bit tired, they're going to be leery of going to the ground with him. He is much faster than Linton Vassell. His hand speed, his foot speed. He's going to be able to cut angles and do good work as long as he doesn't get touched with one of the big, swings and Linton will swing big at times. And if he connects, he's a big man with a long reach. Yeah. He's going to hurt you. But I think the speed of Moldavsky is going to end up being the difference here. And I think he's going to fight a smart fight. And I think it's going to go all the way. I think it'll go three rounds. And, I hope it's as good. You got to look. Both of the first and the second fight were both good, so I hope this one, Matt, is also in that realm of entertaining.
I also feel that Moldavsky can't afford to have Linton Vassell on top of him.
No,
you can't afford to give away one round. That's one thing. And two is you don't want that mountain of a man just on top of you, grinding on you, chasing a submission.
Yeah.
So it'll zap your energy. You won't be able to fight the same way to get in and out fast enough in the second, potentially in the third round. And I do believe that it's going to take all 3 rounds like you do. I think it's going to be a knockdown drag out, but the scoring system makes me wonder, how will Moldavsky fight? Will he try to fight safe? Will he try to just stick and move? And then, which is going to benefit him, obviously. He's got the speed to get in and out, stick and move. But does he fight so safe that he doesn't fight like he should? Does he stand his ground when he needs to sometimes and go ahead and get after it, try to threaten the takedown, get to the top position? What does he do in those scenarios? We've seen before in the past from fighters that are in the tournament, they got away with the 6 points, the fight before. Then what do? They run, they stick, they move, and then they end up getting caught and knocked out. And then, they still make it, or if they get knocked out, I don't know if they're able to advance or not. There's a long enough duration, I believe it is. But I'm simply saying they don't end up being the same fighter sometimes when they've got the 6 points.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think he's going to be fighting the man instead of the point system. I think that he knows, since he's been in there twice with Linton, he's done well against Linton. He's had problems with Linton. He knows where those problems are at. I think he's just going to be a much more intelligent fighter with this matchup, knowing I want to keep it on the feet and I want to use my speed. That's how he tore apart, D'Elia.
Yeah.
He tore him apart with speed, and he absolutely is the faster fighter when it comes to these two. So speed kills.
Next fight, Dakota Ditcheva.
All right.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Dakota. Let's go, then. Dakota Ditcheva against Chelsea Hackett from Australia. This is one of those ones, if there's ever that, well, I think they want someone to advance. When they want them to advance is the number one. This is the one that's going to tell me. Like, I like Dakota Ditcheva, and she has done nothing but look impressive throughout her career. In the PFL, she's looked fantastic. She won the PFL Europe last year, looked fantastic, in doing that. She's explosive. She hits hard. She goes after finishes. She gets them all the time. Chelsea Hackett is a tough-minded fighter, but she's tailor-made for Dakota Ditcheva, and she doesn't have the length that Dakota has. She's going to have a hard time getting into her. Just not a good matchup for Chelsea.
What did we talk about the other day when we said, what is bare knuckle trying to do? They're trying to find stars. Karate Combat trying to find stars. PFL is trying to find a star. They believe Dakota.
They have one.
They think they have one.
Yeah.
And so I would normally knock them, in this situation, because it's like, hey, you literally have given her the 2 easiest fights in the first and second round to qualify for the playoffs.
Yep.
That's very unfair. And we just had Don Davis on here. It's his life. We also had Don Davis on here talking about, no, we don't do that. This is, it couldn't be more obvious, because look, let's just be honest. I'm going to scroll on down real quick. Liz Carmouche is fighting Kana Watanabe. Who did she fight in the first round? One of the toughest.
Juliana
Velasquez, who she had already fought 3 times.
Yep.
Yeah, 3 times. Twice.
She'd already fought her twice.
Fight.
She had beaten her twice. Yep. And in fact, it was Juliana's last 2 fights.
Yes.
And then a third fight against the same person.
Yep.
Who she lost.
And now she's fighting Kana Watanabe, who is the most highly ranked fighter in this thing outside of Liz Carmouche.
Talia Santos might be higher than Kana. It's close.
Okay, let's just say they're both
I would
close.
say Talia Santos, but here, and look, if this is what's going to happen, no matter what. Here, you want here? I'm going to do the Karnak. Remember Johnny Carson used to do the Karnak thing? We put on that big old genie wig.
John,
thing.
that's like fucking 15 years before I was born.
Come on, man! It was funnier than hell. But here, if Liz Carmouche and Talia Santos move themselves into the postseason, and Dakota Ditcheva moves herself in the postseason, I guarantee Liz Carmouche is going to face Talia Santos.
Yes. If you're Liz Carmouche, what are you thinking? You're like why am I fighting the toughest road on the way there? Why is Kana Watanabe and Juliana Velasquez fighting the toughest way? Like, that's exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, Juliana's fighting Lisa Malden, so that's not a super hard fight for her. She should be able to beat her.
But Lisa Malden is who Dakota fought in the first round.
Yes. So Juliana should be able to win.
She will win.
Anyways, look, we're jumping around a lot, but look, I would normally be a little bit like, okay, look, let's call it out. Let's do this. We just had Don Davis on. Like, he's telling us, no, we don't do that stuff. This is pretty obvious. Pretty obvious. You got the two easiest females, and she's fighting both of them in the first two rounds to make the qualify for the playoffs. Whereas Liz Carmouche is fighting the two toughest females that are in the division, maybe outside of Santos. Santos is in there as well.
Well, I mean, if you were going to be honest, and you want to do this as clearly honest as you could make it, because Dakota walked away with a first round victory. She got the 6 points. Mm-hmm. Okay. Talia Santos walked away with a victory, 6 points. Liz Carmouche walked away with a decision over Velasquez. She got 3 points. Jenna Bishop is a young fighter. She's fantastic on the ground.
Yes, she is.
7-0, undefeated. She walked away with a first round submission over the person that Dakota Ditcheva is now going to fight in Chelsea Hackett. And so why not put Jenna Bishop against Dakota Ditcheva? Both of them with 6 points, wins in the first round. It makes sense, you know. I don't know. I just, you know, if you don't want to put her against someone like Talia or against Liz, I understand why, and that's okay. But to put her against someone that lost just doesn't look right.
See, this is difficult. You know what? This is the one thing that I wanted to give Scott Coker credit for. Remember when we did the 145-pound title and they got
I love that.
They picked numbers. And then they picked their spot where they wanted to fight, their date and their location.
Fighters were in complete control of where, well, not complete because you didn't get exactly what you wanted depending upon what number you picked, but you had no room to complain.
No, it was.
And in the other part of that one was, in the end, they said the champion could switch places with whoever he wanted. I love that.
Yeah.
Part.
And so I thought it was a great idea. I thought it worked out beautifully. You know, those are things that I think we should start taking a look at. Because look, there's betting odds involved in these fights.
Oh yeah.
And so when you start talking about brackets, you start talking about like it starts getting a little hairy in there. Like,
well, I mean, I don't know what BetUS has on this fight, but I would say that Dakota is going to be somewhere over a minus 1,000 in betting odds. That tells you the way they're looking at this fight.
Yeah, it makes sense. Dakota Ditcheva, we didn't even talk about the fight, John. Tell me, how does she get it done?
She gets it done any way she wants. Really, what she does is she's so good at controlling range and distance, and she's got fast hands. She's got pop. You know, for a 125-pound woman, she can absolutely smoke people. She kicks, she knees. She's got an attitude. And that's one of the things I love about her. You know, and so I hate talking bad. You know, I'm not talking bad about her. I'm talking bad about the way it looks as far as what they're doing. And I understand why they're doing it. It makes sense, but it doesn't look right. And you can only hold on to someone so long as far as she's going to have to fight a good person somewhere along the way. So, but she's vicious. She's got a mean streak in her, and she's fun to watch. And so, you know, she's working out at American Top Team. Conan is Marcus Silveira is her coach. He's done a great job with her, and he believes. I think she gets this thing done in the first round.
I mean, Joanna Jędrzejczyk said basically she's the next big thing. She's like, look, I've trained with her. I know how good she is. I guess Joanna works with her on the side every once in a while, kind of helps watch her sparring, you know, gives her some advice here and there. But she sees a very, very talented young woman who is somebody that she sees a bright future for. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it all pans out, especially against, you know, like against females like Watanabe or Carmouche or Juliana Velasquez, or, you know, I want to see how it does, how it all works. Jenna Bishop is no one to slouch on, though, by the way.
No, Jenna, but she's not fighting Jenna.
No,
Bishop.
I know that. But look, Jenna Bishop's going to get.
Santos
But
is.
Jenna Bishop's going to get to probably to the playoffs.
Well, depends on how she does against Talia
Does
Santos.
Talia Santos, is she able to keep this fight on the feet? Because I'm going to go with Jenna Bishop on the ground over her.
I would say that Jenna Bishop is better, but Talia is damn good on the
She's
ground.
nasty. She's in a very respectful way. She's a dog when it comes to fighting.
Yeah,
Santos
absolutely, she's tough as hell.
Goltsov versus Santos.
Oh, I tell you what, this is one of those ones. Looking at it, Santos has been fighting as not as a heavyweight, and all of a sudden he's a heavyweight in this. Santos first was 185, huge for 185. Went up to 205, did very well at 205. Had the fight with John Jones in the UFC and stuff. But Goltsov is the real deal when it comes to his stand up. He's got a great jab. He uses the jab well. He uses his length well. And I think that Santos will have the faster hands, but Santos has had a hard time pulling the trigger. And if you remember his last fight against Romero, he was not pulling the trigger well against Romero, and Romero was getting off on him and stuff. And I don't think this is a fight that's going to go well for Santos.
I don't think so either. I think he's going to have a hard time dealing with the size of Goltsov. Goltsov's just a beast, man. He's big. He's huge. Where Goltsov lacks, though, is a little bit of that cardio into that second round. He doesn't have the same.
He was pushing against Lynn Vassell in the first round of his last one. So,
but it was very slow. It was a very slow.
Oh yeah,
fight.
absolutely.
Yeah,
they both died.
Next fight, Liz Carmouche versus Watanabe. Again, this is number 2
rematch. Yeah, she knocked her out in the first round. It's funny because we actually talked to her before that fight, saying, "Hey, you got to let your hands go. You just got to let it go, man. You quit holding back." She says, "Yeah, that's what I'm going to do." She did it. And she put her out fast. And so I think she needs to do the same. At this point, Liz Carmouche has been fighting as well. And this is something that you get into as far as women seem to age better as far as their skills and their speed stays. And they just seem to hold on to it longer than men do. And Liz Carmouche she's getting up in age, but she's looked as good as she's ever looked.
Yeah.
She's fought smarter. She's fought tougher. She's just done a great job with every person she's been going against. And now she's on, like a 5-6 fight win streak,
something like that. It's because there's not that big of a gap between females when they start to lose the speed, when they start to digress in their abilities, because now all they've got to do is that they're such technicians with the techniques. They're tighter with their submissions. They're tighter with their stand up. There's not as much power to be worried about of getting knocked out. And so they have the ability to go ahead and take a couple more shots because they're not worried so much to get knocked out. It just seems like that they can go back to playing chess instead of trying to play checkers like men do when they're in their prime. Men don't always.
She's on an eight fight
win streak. Men don't always play chess when they're in their prime. They sometimes will muscle through things. They'll power through things to get themselves out of trouble. It's the ones that focus the most on the technique as they were coming up that later on in their career can go ahead and let their career last longer because they can revert back to the techniques. I feel like women, there's less danger there as they get older because the females don't have as much power. They're not as fast. And if they do digress in speed, it's not that big of a difference to where they're getting caught so much. It's very rare you have someone that comes in with the type of speed of Dakota Ditcheva and the reach and the range and the ability to use all those techniques. Those are the ones that Liz Carmouche, I think, is going to have a hard time with until she can. Yeah. But Liz also has the ability to try to get her down. That's going to be a fun fight if that fight does end up coming together.
Look, if Liz ends up fighting against Dakota and Dakota ends up underneath her, Dakota's in trouble.
We will see. But I think Liz and Watanabe though is a different fighter than when they fought the first time. She was just starting to come into the stage. I think she only had one fight before that, before she fought Liz, maybe two, but I think it was one. She's a very talented fighter. She's good. She's got really good judo national team, I believe, right? Fantastic foot sweeps, fantastic trips. She catches the leg really well. Where she lacks is sometimes she loses position from the top, trying to either chase submissions or getting careless, trying to strike. And and she can end up on bottom. Now she's got stuff off of her back, but she's not the same fighter on bottom as she is on top.
She also is in that position where when she is being hit, you can see it that it affects her.
Oh, yeah.
It affects her big time, and she's trying to get away from it instead of sometimes fighting her way through it. Sometimes you got to throw back and make the person back off in that fashion. And she's always, trying to swim away from it, move, get herself out. And sometimes, you got to bite down.
Yeah, this is very true.
That's exactly what Liz did in their first matchup. Is she basically just squared her off and said, nope, I'm just going to go after you. And Conor wasn't able to handle that. She's got to figure out ways to handle that.
Very true. Talia Santos versus Jenna Bishop.
You talked about it. Talia Santos is just, first off, she's physically strong. She's fast. She's still young. She's only 30 years of age. And, she's fought for the UFC title. She didn't win it, but, she did fight Valentina Shevchenko for it. And it was a split decision that a lot of people thought Talia Santos won it. So, she was right there, and this just showed how good she is. This whole thing, she went and she lost to, I think her last fight in the UFC was to Erin Blanchfield. And she lost to Erin Blanchfield, but she can beat anybody on a given day. She's that good. The real question in this one is, how does Jenna do in the stand-up against Talia? Because Talia is much better in the stand-up than Jenna. Jenna is better on the ground. She's a phenomenal jiu-jitsu stylist, and she'll pull off a submission from anywhere. But you got to get the fight down there first.
Yeah, that's very true. Like this is the thing though, it gets me though, John. When I look at this, I look at Talia Santos. She's 20-3. Jenna Bishop is 7-0. That's a lot of experience.
A ton. That's what I'm talking about.
It's a lot more experience. What is that? 16 fights more.
And the real thing is this: it's like Jenna's got a ton of competition experience through jiu-jitsu. She's been to all the big tournaments and everything, and she's fantastic. But when you're in that fight and things are not going, you're 7-0, everything's kind of gone your way in every fight. You haven't been in those positions where all of a sudden things are not going your way, and you got to figure out a way to work your way through things. Talia Santos has been there and done it, and Jenna has not experienced that yet. And so it's a question of how does she deal with it if it happens against Talia. And there's a good possibility it could happen with someone as good as Santos.
But see, this is what I'm going to go back to, though, John. You got Dakota Ditcheva is 11-0. She's got a record that's closer to fighting Talia Santos. And they're both strikers. Why didn't we see that fight? Why didn't we see that fight, John?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm not gonna keep challenging you. Popov versus Franklin.
I look at this one. This is actually Davion Franklin, super strong, very explosive, but he gasses, and he's gassed in quite a few fights. And he's an emotional fighter. I like him as a person. He's fun. He's a good guy. Popov is just a good wrestler. And he's used that wrestling to get 17 wins against one loss in his career. Now he's with Team Fedor. He's tending to do better in the stand-up. He's not diving in for takedowns right away. I don't think he wants to be in a stand-up match. Davion Franklin hits like a freaking truck. Popov is not going to be as good as Davion in the stand-up. Davion needs to keep this thing on the feet, and Oleg Popov needs to get himself on top of Davion Franklin. He doesn't want to be underneath him, but get him down, get on top, and just do work and wear him out.
Marcelo Golm versus Tyrell Fortune.
Ooh, this is it was Daniel James was the guy who beat Marcelo Golm. I guess that Daniel James had to pull out of this one. I don't know what happened.
He was pretty pissed off about how he was supposed to fight Tyrell Fortune. He's like, wait, why am I fighting this guy to get into the playoffs when he pulled out of my fight with me? Now I got to fight him again for him to get it. He's in the tournament already. No, I want to fight somebody who's already in the tournament. This is another one of those things where Daniel James came out public and he's like, this shit's fucking rigged. These are the things that we got to be careful for.
Well, it's, you when you're looking at what, you can take a look at the whole thing with Goltsov. He's fighting Thiago Santos. He was supposed to fight Sergey Belistini. That one didn't work out. There's a bunch of them that just didn't work out. And then I don't know why people pulled out. Popov was supposed to fight Blagoy. Blagoy had that great fight with Belistini. Belistini won it, but he's out too. And so there's all these guys that were in the tournament. I think they're out of the whole thing now. And so Marcelo Golm, who lost to Daniel James, first round knockout, I want to say, going up against Tyrell Fortune. Look, Tyrell Fortune is a very good wrestler. He's got good stand up. He's got good hands. He doesn't want to be underneath Marcelo Golm. He's got to be in the top position if he's going to go to the ground, and he needs to be careful with the submissions. But Tyrell Fortune probably is the guy. If you're looking at who should win that fight, it should be Tyrell.
Yeah, you're going to end up with a lot of people. You're going to end up with fighters not trusting the organization if they don't start to figure this out, though, John. There's got to be a little bit more of an easier way to say that it's not biased. I'm just being honest. Like, and look, I don't have any skin in the game. Okay, like I have no skin in the game, but I'm just saying from the outside looking in, and we've heard rumblings and complaints from Ariel's show and from other people's show as well, and fighters coming out publicly. Daniel James being one of them. There was a female fighter as well that came out and said something also, just saying that it's rigged. Jenna Bishop, it's rigged. Like this stuff is rigged. Like what's going on? So you got to be very careful if you're the PFL and you guys are matchmaking, because if you guys are putting these together, it just comes down to fighters are going to start to have a problem. Now, look, I'm going to flip the other side, though. I'm going to take the other side, though, John. And I'm going to say, I've sat with guys like Joe Silva, and I've sat with guys like Rich Chow and Mike Kogan. And they've showed me the list and said, this dude don't want to fight. That's why he's not fighting right now. He pulled out, or we offered it to him, and he said no. So they've got to deal with all the prima donna fighters that we've all talked about. Like, it happens. It's not, and then this one's dealing with an injury, so he turned the fight down, and this one said he's ready, but this one doesn't want to fight him. Like, the fighters that are willing to step in, that fighter doesn't want to fight him, and they're already in the tournament, so you got to make sure that the one that was already in the tournament is willing to take the fight. It's a crappy situation to be in. Being a promoter, being a matchmaker is not an easy job. So, but yeah, fighters, look, let's just be honest, man. Fighters are just a pain in the ass. I was one of them for a long time. I know what I was. So,
well, it's all right. You look at as the fighter, you got to look and say, I got to take care of number one.
Yeah.
And that's part of the whole thing. You got to be selfish.
This is very true.
You got to try to set things up the best you can for you. So it's understandable.
Any other fights on here you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to say Danilo Marques going up against Tim Johnson. That's actually a really good heavyweight matchup. Danilo Marques he's got good stand-up. He's got a good jiu-jitsu game. Tim Johnson, his stand-up has gotten way better, and he's got a good wrestling game. And you will see Tim Johnson trying to take people down, and we'll see what Danilo can do with that. But Tim Johnson he's always a guy that I enjoy watching. He comes in and then he throws his hands. He's there to either get knock people out or get knocked out. And he's a gamer.
I always enjoy watching Samiko Inaba fight.
Oh yeah,
she's got some power in her hands.
She's got beautiful stand up.
She's got great stand up. She's fun to watch. She brings it. She bites down on the mouthpiece and gets after it. And she's always fun to watch. So if you guys want to check her out, she's the very first fight of the night, or at least it looks like she's scheduled to be that. Hey guys, want to remind you guys this episode is brought to you by BetUS, and you guys check out their betting odds with our link down below. Whether you're an Olympic athlete, professional hockey player, MMA world champion, or just an active kid, LMNT helps anyone stay hydrated. Each stick pack delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar, artificial colors, or other dodgy ingredients. Get your free sample pack with any LMNT drink mix purchase through link in bio. Also try the new LMNT Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. Roll, train, ride, or play, but stay hydrated and stay salty. let's head over here. Let's go ahead and go over to the UFC. Dun, dun, dun.
Well,
Here we go. We got this weekend's UFC Fight Night. You got Alex Perez versus Tatsuro Taira.
you do, and you got Alex Perez coming back incredibly fast. Off of he was right at the end of April, beginning of May, I want to say. He had his fight against Matthias Nicolau and had a fantastic knockout. Big time. I want to say, I think it was a right hook that he hit him with. But, man, just a quick turnaround, and I love it. I think it's a great thing. Alex is really, you can see how he's progressing. His stand-up has always been good. His wrestling's getting better. His ability to defend the takedown. And now he's actually kind of incorporating takedowns himself, putting people in position. So it's like, hey, man, the whole package is coming together, and he's fighting really well. And I'll tell you what, he better have it all together against his opponent, because he's fighting a damn skilled sumbitch in Taira. Just, guy's good.
Well, John,
undefeated.
I got to be honest, man. The Bet US odds for weighing in on the odds, they actually agree with you. Taira is minus 185, and you got Alex Perez at plus 155. There is no over-under on this one, or at least not that I can see right here. But I'm going to simply say I would actually probably go with Taira also. Even though I feel like Alex Perez is on his confidence is high. He feels good. He's out there fighting his best fight. But Taira just seems like on another level right now than a lot of fighters. He seems super confident. He seems very active, very accurate with his strikes. Just an all-around great fighter. It looks like he's physically strong as well. Hard to get in on deep in the clinch and work in the clinch. Just not the easiest guy to deal with.
No, young, very talented, and he's got a good submission game. He's got, I've watched him get triangles, arm bars, all kinds of different submissions on people. So, he's 5-0 in the UFC at this point. He's looking good, but Perez is that guy that, all he's got to do is touch him clean and hurt him and then put him away. So, I would say that where Alex Perez needs to be careful of is the takedown. He needs to be careful of being on his back for very long. If he is on his back, you've got to really commit to getting yourself to the cage, wall walk that sucker, get yourself back up, and take away Tatsuro's game on the ground, because he is a dynamic submission guy.
John, at minus 185 for Taira, are you taking that bet? Are you going with Perez?
I would go with Perez based upon, look, both guys can win. I do think that Taira should be the favorite. I really do. And that's with less experience. But I think Perez has really come into his own. And like I said, his skill set has really developed where his defensive wrestling is good. And he's so good in the stand-up. And he connects so well. And he's dangerous there that he can win this fight.
Yeah.
And so I look at it and say, he's at plus 155.
Yes.
Is that what you said? Yeah. I'll take him at that. I like underdogs that absolutely can win the fight.
I mean, 15-0 though, man. Taira is tough at 15-0.
Oh, dude,
those guys that have not tasted defeat, those are the ones that just they cling on to that like no one's business.
Yep, he's gonna be tough. He's going to be tough to get rid of. And look, he can win the fight. Yeah. I said he should be the favorite. He's that good.
It's going to make for a good fight, though.
But he's young. I want to say he's 23 or 24. And, man, he's that other guy that he's never been in a horrible situation. It's like he keeps on just rolling. And maybe Perez can put him in that.
Ikram Aliskerov versus Antonio Trocoli.
Oh, look at Aliskerov is, man, he is so good, Josh. Ikram, I watched his one loss. I've seen it. It was to Khamzat Chimaev. It was in, I want to say Brave was the promotion. It was in the Middle East. And he got caught. And it can happen to anybody. But he can wrestle. He can stand up and fight. He's good everywhere. This guy's going to be around for a long time. He is a monster in the making. It's just a matter of time before people start to really understand how good he is. Nothing against Trocoli, but he's going to have to pull off something special in this fight to get a win, and I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think the betting odds over at BetUS feel the same exact way because Trocoli right now is a plus 700 and Aliskerov is a minus 1,400. Now, look, I don't bet on my friends, and I
would say don't put $1,400 to win 100.
But I don't bet on my friends or people that have trained at AK. I don't bet on anyone from AK. I don't want to jinx them, but I'm simply saying if you guys are betting people out there, I would probably throw. When I talk about betting on the dog, this is one of those fights where, look, it is still a fight. Okay, so if you want to put 25 bucks down, you want to put 25 bucks down, you want to put 20 bucks down on Trocoli at plus 700, take your chances and see what happens.
Put $20.
Yeah, put $20.
It's nothing.
And so you can take it that way. With Aliskerov, look, he's tough. If you want to go ahead and try to put the 1,400 down and take that chance, I mean,
I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy to do that.
I'm not the guy to do that ever.
I'm not to win.
Even when I go, there's not a doubt in my mind who's going to win the fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I ain't going to do that.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, when I say, hey, let's go ahead and bet on the dogs, this is probably one of those dogs bets I would say, like, look, if I threw 10 bucks down, if I threw $5 down, just see what happens. You can win $100 off of $5. Go right ahead. Play with it. Play with it a little bit. Put your little toes in the water there.
Just toes.
Yeah, just get them a little wet right there. That's all you got to do. Just dip it in there. Yeah, that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. That's our waiting on the odds for this. We did the co-main and the main event for you guys on that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And, John, we'll probably dabble a little bit in a fight or two. I don't really see it. All the odds, I think, on BetUS are pretty fair. You guys can click the link down below. You can check out the rest of the odds for that if you guys would like. Let's go ahead and go to the next fight there, John. What do we got?
Lucas Almeida taking on Timmy Cuamba. This is, man, I'll tell you what. Lucas Almeida is talented. Very good fighter. He's got quite a bit more experience than Timmy. I know Timmy is he's called Twilight, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I've watched him fight. He's good. It's just a matter of he's facing a guy who's really experienced right now, and Cuamba's coming off of, I think he's had one fight in the UFC. It was a loss. That's the one I seen him in, and it was close, and so he should feel good about it. But coming off of a loss up against someone as good as Lucas Almeida, that's a tough one. You gotta get your confidence back.
Yeah.
He could do it, but I'm going to say that Lucas Almeida he's the favorite in this.
Yeah, I would say the next fight though, to me, someone Andrade versus Miles John. This should be a good fight. That should be a good fight.
It should be. It's they both have their areas where they have the advantage. Miles John's really got good wrestling. He's a
physically strong
wrestler. Yes, absolutely. But De Silva DeAndre, man, he's good. He's tough. He comes after you. He's got a ton of experience. He's been around for a while. He is. He's one of, as you say, he's got the dog in him, and he doesn't quit. And he's been in the UFC for a while. So is Miles Johns now. It's the real question: does Miles Johns use his wrestling to try to keep it on the feet because he feels comfortable there, or does De Silva basically make him feel uncomfortable? Then he has John shooting on him and diving for takedowns, which could lead to bad things with the knees and elbows that he throws. So it's a good matchup.
Yeah, so with Andrade, I would probably say that he's going to try to sprawl and brawl, keep this thing on the feet. And he's just gonna try to make Miles Johns uncomfortable fighting off of his back foot. He's a wrestler. He doesn't want to be pushed backwards. He wants to be the bully. Can he bully the bully? And that's what we're going to find out. And I think that's what's going to be the telltale. In that first round, you're going to see, does Silva Andrade, is he able to push him around? Is he able to make him respect his punches? Is he able to try to put a little fear and make him fight off that back foot? That's going to be the deciding factor on that.
Well, the whole thing that you look at with De Silva DeAndre, he's had those fights that he's fought guys that are really fast, really good. He had the fight with Lerone Murphy, who we just saw in the main event, a
Yep.
couple weeks ago, and he looked fantastic in getting that win. He lost, but it was a decision, and then he's had the, other fights where, his last fight against Cody Stamen, he looked good, again, decision, a lot of decisions as far as his fights, but he's got the guys that are the pressure fighters that he's done well against. He's had the speed fighters. He's had that whole variety. So I think he's gonna feel comfortable with Miles Johnson there. Miles got to be on his best game with his wrestling.
I agree. Asu Almabayev versus Jose Johnson. I'm the worst, man. At trying to,
dude. It's not easy.
I don't pretend like I know how to say these. I'm already butchering them. I know this.
I would much rather have Jose Johnson. It's just much easier to say. You look at this one, and Almabayev is very good. He's very talented. He's got a good submission game. He's got a good stand-up game. He's well-rounded. Jose Johnson, man, you're looking, it's so hard when you're talking about flyweights, because, man, they're all talented.
Mm-hmm.
They can all do everything. Mm-hmm. They've got good stand-up. They've got good ground games. They've got good wrestling games for the most part, or they've developed them over time with it and stuff. So, I mean, this is one of those ones you're looking at, you go, man, it could be, a quick fight, could be. But Johnson, I've watched in the UFC. I think he's had 2 fights there. I watched him win. I didn't see the loss that he had. So he lost to Damone Blackshear, and that was the Twister one. So I saw it as far as the finish. I didn't see the fight. And both guys could win.
Quinlan versus Fugitt.
Tell me, how do you see it?
Look, Quinlan's going to be able to stick and move. I think he's going to try to get in the clinch.
Josh Quinlan is good.
He is.
He's a tough bitch. Josh Quinlan is from Hawaii. I know it doesn't. People don't realize that, but he is just a tough mother.
What do you think is going to happen?
Man, you look at this and it's like, Quinlan is he's done. His last fight was against Danny Barlow. He lost that on punches and stuff. He got knocked out, but it was a tough fight. They were going. Mm-hmm. It was fun to watch. And you look and Fugitt is just, he's one of those guys, just tough. He'll sit there and he's going to bang with him. I think Quinlan's got the basics of, he's got a cleaner technical style, but he's got to just put it in his mind that he's just got to continue to touch Fugitt. Don't get into, I have to, want to hit him with a hard shot. Just touch him.
Yeah. Keep
touching him, because he's going to be there, and it's one of those you got to tell yourself, just hit him again. I'm just going to hit you again. Just going to hit you again.
Yeah.
That's what don't expect him to go down.
That's what I was saying, though, is like, he's going to stick and move, probably put him into the clinch a little bit, dirty box him a little bit, and then make space and go ahead and then start touching him up a little bit more. Like you said, don't allow the big shot to happen. Don't try to chase the big shot or chase the knockout.
If you chase it, it's not going to happen. Very rare.
All
right,
go ahead.
Your next one. This is a guy well. Taira Ulanbekov going up against Joshua Van. Joshua, damn good stand-up fighter. He's got good wrestling. I don't know if he's got good enough wrestling to stop Taira in all of his takedown events, but Joshua Van is fun to watch. So is Taira.
Yeah, Ulanbekov he's just gotten so much better, so much more confident. And
he's so damn skinny.
He is. And I haven't trained with him in a long time. But it seems like every performance he gets a little bit better. He does a little bit more stuff. He's able to achieve what he needs to do on the feet. His grappling is getting better. His wrestling, his transitions is getting better. I don't know. Obviously, I think a lot of people are going to think I'm biased in this situation, but I think if Ulanbekov is firing on all cylinders, I don't see how he loses this fight. I know that Van is tough. I know he's fun to watch. I know that he's going to bring the action, all of these things, but I just think stylistically and game planning wise, from having like Islam and from having Habib and from having all the coaches now that are at in the Nurmagomedov school there in the Dagestan area, as well as training, alongside Islam when he was getting ready for his fight. Having Javier there, like just the game planning for the teammates now, it seems like they're all in sync with each other. And so I think he's going to be firing on all cylinders. It should be a fun fight, but I think unless Ulanbekov makes a mistake, I think he wins this fight.
It's a good matchup. You got to figure Joshua Van is now 3-0 in the UFC. He's on an 8-fight win streak.
Mm-hmm.
That's confidence building. And but like you're saying, and you're right, Tiger Ulanbekov is good everywhere. I have seen him get tired though when he wrestles a lot. And so he wants to be the one that's in control of this. When people they wrestle him back basically and make him work in the wrestling, I've seen him slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't let that happen. But great matchup. I love that fight.
Should be a fun fight. Look, I mean, when Van fought Zumagulov, like it ended up being a split decision, but like it wasn't a back and forth battle. I had Van winning that fight, I think across the board, unless I'm forgetting something. I had him winning at 30-27, or I had him like a 29-28, which could have been a 30-27. I think there was some controversy. I remember some controversy, I think, around that fight. But Van should have won that fight pretty clearly. But to sit here and say that Zumagulov is on Ulanbekov's level, and I know I'm doing the MMA math right now, but I feel like Ulanbekov right now is just on another level right now. He's finally finding his confidence. He's finding his stride. I think he's got a good chance of getting the win. So
I agree.
John, any other fights on here you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to say Nate Maness against Jimmy Flick will be fun. There's a lot of flyweight fights on this, but Nate Maness brings it. He's tough as hell. Jimmy Flick brings it. He's got a good submission game. I don't know if it's good enough to get rid of Nate Maness. Maness has got a good submission game, but that should be a fun fight also.
All right. Well, hey, that's going to wrap up our UFC talk. And John, look, did you get your package today? I got my package today.
Did.
I got my package today of LMNT. So obviously I'm drinking my LMNT during the filming tonight. Look, you guys, if you guys haven't checked them out, in the descriptions down below, there's a link. Every time you purchase through our link down below, they will send you a gift. And what I mean by a gift is normally like more samples of their newest product or more samples of the product that you purchase. So you have a longer duration with the product to see if you like it. Look, it's a fantastic product. There is absolutely no sugar in it. It's amazing. 1,000 milligrams of sodium. Go out there, stay salty, especially as the heat starts to come along this summer. It was 98 to 95 on Saturday and 98 on Sunday here in Texas. And I'm going to Colorado this weekend. It's supposed to be 93, 95, and 98. All in Mile High. It's going to be hot. We're a little bit closer to the sun too, so it's going to be a little bit more. a little bit closer. But hey, guys, hit that link down below. Check it out. Check out all their flavors. They've got watermelon. They've got grapefruit, which John loves the grapefruit. They've got citrus.
Raspberry.
They've got citrus. They've got raspberry. They even offer some that can go into your coffee, different types of chai, chocolates, and that chocolate raspberries and so forth. So go ahead and check them out. They also offer it in a sparkling, which is in a can. That does not come. You can purchase it through our link, but you won't get an extra gift with that because of the shipping cost that comes along with it, because they are can filled versus packet. They're heavier to mail. So, but if you guys order the mixtures, they will send you a free gift with them. And those are packets like you see with the liquid IVs. They are fantastic. You can pack them with your kids for their soccer games, lacrosse games. I'm taking the whole package with me this weekend in Colorado. My son loves it, man. He loves it. So as long as I overdo it, sometimes I say, hey, it's hot, it's sweaty. I try to overdo it sometimes. He's like, okay, Dad, that's enough today. It's like, I'm good. I feel hydrated, Pops. So
that's good.
But, always looking out. No sugar. That's the biggest thing. Whereas other companies like Liquid IV have a ton of sugar in them. Definitely a better product. So check them out if you guys want. And thanks so much for tuning in. And once again, this episode is brought to you by BetUS. And John, you got one more thing.
Yeah, I do have one more thing. I have had a ton of people going at me about the Jason Herzog stoppage of Jared Cannonier, about a fight in the lower leagues with Austin slamming a guy's head on the ground. If you want to know the answers to all these things, I got a course coming up at the end of July. It's the command course. You think that you could be a great referee or you're that guy? Well, you can find out. Go to MMAreferee.com. You can look at all the information. You can sign up and you could start your career possibly. You can start your career off as a referee with everybody hating you. It's a great thing.
And we will see you.
And we will see you.